everybody. And yes, today is unfortunately 6 years since the opening of a prison where people do not have access to lawyers. They don't have access to a reasonable justice system. They have been tortured. They have had their holy book urinated upon and treated like garbage. And it is time for us to shut this place down. So thanks for being here today. I'm Dan Handelman with Peace and Justice Force. We're co-sponsoring today's rally with the Portland Peaceful Response Coalition. And the people who call it the International Day of Action is Witness for Torture. They're at witnesstorture.org. You can find out more on their website. Around 300 people are still in Guantanamo Bay. There were 500 or 600 people at one point. The population actually went up again in the middle of last year when the CIA moved some high-level detainees from secret prison sites around the world to Guantanamo because their secret prison sites were revealed, and they didn't want people talking about that anymore. But unfortunately for them, by moving those prisoners, now we know there are secret prison sites. In terms of torture, the waterboarding, and all these other so-called enhanced interrogation techniques, the Supreme Court, Congress voted last month to add the Army's field manual restrictions to the CIA. This is very important for those of you who don't know that after the Congress passed a law prohibiting the U.S. military from torturing people, the CIA said that doesn't cover us. So the House passed this as part of the Intelligence Act for 2008. It's in front of the Senate. They're going to vote on it sometime soon. So I think the message out there is to contact senators and say, make sure that when this act passes, that this Army field manual restrictions is part of that bill. So keep that in mind. One other interesting little story about Guantanamo recently. The site Wikipedia, everybody knows Wikipedia. It's an online encyclopedia. Their page about Guantanamo Bay was hacked by people from Guantanamo Bay, and they put on stuff like Fidel Castro is a cross-dresser, and the U.S. military treats people humanely at Guantanamo Bay, and the wiki editors had to take it back down because they realized it was insiders. And there's also a court case, a very important court case, about whether or not the prisoners have the right to habeas corpus, meaning basically the right for them to ask, why the hell am I in jail? Because most of the people that are there have never been charged. Only one person out of the 600 plus that have been at Guantanamo has ever been charged with any or convicted of anything, and that's because he pleaded. The other people have not been charged with crimes, and the Supreme Court's supposed to rule sometime this session between this past October and this coming spring about whether or not it's okay for the U.S. to keep people without telling them why they're in custody. So we got a lot of work to do. Obviously, there's still a war going on in Afghanistan that triggered the opening of Guantanamo. A lot of the people who were taken off the so-called battlefield were taken in because there were bounties for anybody that was given to the United States, and they got money, and a lot of these people have no intelligence value whatsoever to us. And now the war rages on in Afghanistan. More people died in Afghanistan this past year than in any year since the invasion. More Americans died, and probably more Iraqis died this year. Certainly it's hard to say how many Iraqis died in the first year of the invasion of Iraq, but a lot of more Americans died this past year than in any year since that invasion. So these wars keep raging on, and the American public seems to be counting on the Democrats to do something about it. And I think we know that nobody's going to do anything about it unless we keep up the pressure. So let's shut down Guantanamo. I also want to give a shout out. I think Amnesty International has a few people here tonight. And, Amnesty and Human Rights Watch and other international human rights organizations have been doing a great job keeping the word out about what's going on at Guantanamo. And we really have to thank them for that. And I guess we're going to start marching. Is that right, Rob?
Yep. That's what we're going to do.
I just want to say that the crimes that are going on at Guantanamo are just a list of the many crimes that this administration has committed. I'm asking all of you, please think positive about impeachment. We have everything done for impeachment. We just have to push it over the top. A lot of people have been working hard on this for years. All we have to do, we the people, is say yes. We demand impeachment. Don't leave it to the Democrats. Don't leave it to the Republicans. It's we the people. I have made up some very simple red fact sheets. We get so many facts that we get overwhelmed. We get information overload. Please, if you'd like one, I'm going to be passing them out. It just tells the 4 articles of impeachment that have been written up, torture being one of them, and then also what this has cost us, both in lives and in money. So please think positive about impeachment. Think we are going to shut down Guantanamo Bay and all the other atrocities that have been going on for these last 8 years, almost 8 years. We can do it, and we are doing it.
Impeachment!
Yeah! And the story behind it turned out to be a lie. But that didn't stop this country from a massive escalation of the Vietnam War, which some 50+ thousand American lives and 2 million Vietnamese lives later, we finally had the sense to get out of it. But this week, it seems the Bush administration is trying to come up with their own Gulf of Tonkin incident. I guess they would call it the Straits of Hormuz incident, in which 3 or 5 tiny little patrol boats, little fiberglass patrol boats, supposedly pillaged 3 huge, mighty armored warships.
Bush lies!
That story seems to be unraveling now. Hopefully before Bush can launch another war based on such a lie, Navy is backtracking on the story, saying, well, maybe the war didn't come from those little ships. Maybe they didn't actually threaten us after all. But Bush keeps trying to start a war with Iran. It's one excuse after another. First it's nuclear weapons, then it's aid to terrorists, then it's
Thank you so much. Yeah, so important.
Bush lies!
people die.
Bush lies! People die! 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 Hey, Joe. Hey.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Real good. That Amnesty International photographer.
Oh, are you?
No, that woman.
Oh, is she? Or where is she?
The red.
Yeah.
And if we go over there by the glass with the signs, you can take a picture of the Bobsey twins pictures of Bush and Cheney behind us. They're just inside the door.
Oh, you guys gonna go inside?
No.
Just in the glass?
We'd be out front with the signs, and then back behind us would be the pictures.
Okay, I'll look for that.
Okay,
when we head over there,
when we head over there.
Yeah, I'll do.
I'm looking for the Amnesty International people.
Yeah, that one woman with the camera.
Is that her there?
Right there.
So yes, if you want to do that with us, that'd be great.
Quick photo op, they may come out and tell us to leave, so quick. We're gonna do a photo if you want to come over here with your sign.
They're pretty over here with their signs. We're going to stand in front of the Federal building. Can we get their picture?
One year ago yesterday. Stop the torture, stop the crime, close down Guantanamo. 1 year ago yesterday, the Granny's handcuffed the building shut.
You didn't hear Martha Odom. 1 year ago, yesterday, they used to call themselves the Raging Grannies. They now call themselves the Seriously Pissed Off Grannies. Were arrested after they chained themselves to the doors here at the Federal building. And that reminds me of an announcement.
Get one of these.
A week from tomorrow, on Saturday, January 19th at 7 p.m. at the Peace House, there's going to be a party and fundraiser, in part to raise funds for fines and so forth for the grannies who were arrested last year. So please come to that. I know these people. I know it'll be fun. I know it'll be a good time, and it's for a good cause. So.
When is it again?
It's a week from tomorrow, Saturday, January 19th, at the Peace House, which is at 2116 Northeast 18th. That's Northeast 18th, Tillamook.
And if anybody needs a flyer, I have a few in my bag. Thanks.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say.
Thank you. Yes, I have another announcement. I guess this is the time for announcements, so I'll make them right now.
Scott Ritter and Jeff Cohan will be here in Portland on Monday, January 14th at Lincoln High School Auditorium. It's part of their U.S. Tour of Duty, public policy events across America, the Iran talks. And that'll be at 7 p.m. at Lincoln High School this coming Monday. Also, tomorrow being the second Saturday of the month, what is that?
Counter recruiting!
That's right. We go over to the military recruiter's office at Northeast 13th and Broadway from 11 o'clock a.m. to 1, where we will attempt once again to shut down the military recruiting office. So,
Tomorrow.
So please come out. We've got signs, and we'll have a megaphone, and who knows, we might have a few seriously pissed off grannies. I think they're afraid of them.
I have an announcement, if I could. For all of you who are interested in progressive media and media training for these types of events, obtaining publicity, on Thursday evening at the Unitarian Church at the main sanctuary at 7 o'clock, about 7 progressive organizations, the Sierra Club, Blue One, People for the American Way, Progressive Action, and others are going to be media, netcasting and otherwise watching a DVD training for people who want to learn how to interact with the media so that we can get better at this and publicizing it. And by the way, good work, Will. I heard you on KBOO. That's the kind of thing we all need to be doing constantly for these types of actions. But once again, this is Thursday. We're going to have this event for training for a much larger event that's going to involve professional media consultants and local OPB and other media personalities on how to get the media's attention and get people to our events. Anybody interested, get in touch or contact the Move On Portland's website. Thank you.
Hey, you know what? It's so much better with drums.
Folks, I know you probably heard that Pioneer Courthouse Square Incorporated has been threatening to have us cited for the use of a megaphone on Pioneer Courthouse Square, and for that matter, for the use of the drums. The last 2 weeks, they haven't approached us. Now, I think that's probably related to the fact that a lot of you have come out and joined this wonderful action every week, and they're maybe a little intimidated by people power right here in Portland. We had been trying to set up a meeting with the Noise Control Office and the City Attorney. We have been getting wonderful support from the ACLU of Oregon and the National Lawyers Guild, and there are other legal folks who have said they will help us out and will represent us in this struggle. But they stopped returning our calls this week, and we don't quite know why. But I am hopeful and optimistic that the reason is that they recognize this was one of the biggest mistakes they've made in the last several years in terms of trying to suppress popular exercise of our constitutional rights. So thank you very much. I'm going to pass the hat when we get back to Pioneer Courthouse Square. One of the reasons I'm going to wait until we get back there to do that is because we have often had a donation bucket, and they've also given us grief for even having a donation bucket at Pioneer Courthouse Square.
Yeah, they want all the money.
And we're going to split the proceeds between the Center for Constitutional Rights in Washington, D.C. and the Friday Rally Legal Defense Fund. As you know, each time we get cited, if we get cited, the first one's $300. It can be as much as $5,000. And of course, there are legal fees even if you have pro bono legal support. So thank you everybody for coming out here today. Thank you, Peace and Justice Works, for co-hosting with PPRC today. Thank you for all the different organizations that have come out tonight. Are we going to be heading back? So we're going to head back to the square. So rest your voices a little bit, because once we hit the street, Rob's going to have you chanting again.
Yeah, we're no, I said on this
Today is International Close Down Guantanamo Day, and we've been talking about some of the practices of the Bush regime, such as torture and special rendition. Now these are all impeachable offenses, as we all know. Just some of the many impeachable offenses that the Bush administration, the Bush regime has committed. So it's time to call for their impeachment. Impeach! No! Impeach! No! Impeach! No! Impeach! No! Impeach! now and probably more before the final bill is tallied. And that's just in terms of dollars. We haven't said anything about blood, but the blood of nearly 4,000 American lives and about 1 million Iraqi lives. This war
and bring our troops home from Iraq. Out of Iraq, bring them back. Troops home now. Out of Iraq, bring them back. 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 Out of Iraq, bring them back.
Out of Iraq!
No worries. How you doing, Scott?
Testing, testing.
Just what one?
Yeah.
I'm sure as we're making our journey from the federal building, you were wanting to relieve yourself of those pictures of those dead presidents. And send them off to Washington to support the Center for Constitutional Rights. So I'm going to slowly go around and ask you to be really generous. Don't give till it hurts. Give till it feels good.
Yeah!